Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. You join us ahead of a wildly poor weekend of racing, I have to say, but we have got action from Sandown, Chester and Beverley to look forward to on Channel 4 tomorrow. So going through that with me is Callum Liddell, Chris Bradburn and Adam Webb. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
Evening.
Now, Callum, throw that one in late and say, oh, I forgot to say it. I have to apologise this week for apparently the lag in what I'm saying, because I'm in deepest, darkest Hampshire, so the internet isn't great. But bear with me on that. Was there any nap winners last week? I think Adam might have to brag something.
Yay! Well, considering before last week's video you said to me, oh, you're going to go on a 19-run losing streak just to keep in theme with some of the things that have been going on for the last week, and I said no, and then Glorious Protector came along, and yeah. I'm not. By the way, I will now try and promise that the next 19 weeks I'm not going to put up a nap loser. I just hope I don't. Oh.
You have to keep going with tradition anyway.
No.
Well, I didn't have a nap winner last week, and I can't promise one this week if I'm honest. But the first race that we're going to be covering is the 205 at Sandown, and if one of us gets the winner of this, then fair play. Eccleston's been well backed ahead of this, says Callum earlier on, and you have to respect the Dave Mirror horse coming down this far and the only one of his representatives at Sandown today, Callum.
Yeah, there was three I had on my short list, and Eccleston was definitely one of them. I was impressed when he won on his first start this year. He beat a horse called Hey Tude, who's gone on to win at listed level. Not really gone on from it since. Was well beaten by Mecca's Angels. No disgrace to that. Mecca's Angels a very, very good horse when she gets her conditions. But last time she only beaten 2 lengths behind Shamshon, but the second isn't, well, I think runs in this race actually, and is off a similar mark. And then you could probably excuse his last run. So maybe a return to softer ground at a track like Sandown will suit him. But I'm just not fully convinced 95 is a mark he can win off. I think Jamaican Bolt is interesting. If he wasn't drawn 17, then I'd be quite keen on him because he likes soft ground. Hasn't won since 2012, which is a worry. And the other one that caught my eye was Ajard, who's won in my tracker. Again, I just wasn't sure about the ground, but he's there to strike. Really tough race. If I go for anything, I'd go for Ajard, just a tentative selection, because I think he could go okay on the ground, but I just don't think it's his preference. But he's definitely well handicapped to win.
Yeah, just a line. If you're going to Sandown tomorrow, go to the pre-parade ring or the parade ring and just look at Ajard's backside. The stenciling on Ajard is absolutely fantastic, and I've never seen anything like it before. As Adam will know, you're giving Ajard a bit of a chance tomorrow, aren't you, Adam?
I am, yeah. The two that I actually like in the race are him and Judge and Jury. But Ajard would actually be the main selection. He has actually, if you go back through his form, has got some form on soft ground. He was 5th in a handicap in 2012 to Jack Dexter. Only beaten 3 1/4 lengths, and we all know how good Jack Dexter is in those conditions. The run at Sandown 2 starts ago was a very good one, and the last time out, I wasn't too disappointed. He was hampered at the stage, and then he was not really beaten about, and the form of that race actually worked out quite nicely. I mean, Barnet Fair came out and won the Consolation Stewards Cup race, and the form has worked out. For me, he'd be the main selection. Judge and Jury won 2 starts ago. And this ground for me is ideal for him, and he can go from the front, and I think he could outrun his odds at a bigger price. So Ajard would be the main selection here.
Yeah. Chris, you're
Well, I'm actually with
the first of the day.
I'm actually with Ajard as well. So basically, just exactly what those you guys said. I've not really got anything else to add. Really, sort of covered all points.
Fair enough. Sweet and short and sweet. We'll come to you first next time so you can get it all out of the way. I really didn't have much of a clue with this, if I'm perfectly honest. I think Pearl Blue at the top is one that I put in my tracker at the start of the season after winning at Epsom, really testing ground. So the ground might be an issue, but a bit of a worry that he's drawn 16. Ashley Morgan takes off a valuable 3. I think he's a fantastic jockey, but again, being drawn 16 at Sandown isn't really a massive positive. However, this season I think it's the first season I've actually sort of seen them winning on the near side and maybe down the middle. Usually it's the far side where you want to be. Elusivity is one that I annoy Callum with constantly. It's not really a horse that I particularly back every single week, but Callum usually gets annoyed and isn't the biggest fan of the horse, but has everything in his favour tomorrow. if I was ever going to win a race off this mark, which is very low compared to his old marks, then it would be Tomorrow. A nice draw in stall 6 as well. As for the winner, I don't know if I can really pin one down. Number 14 is named after Adam with Lad Webb, but other than that, I can't really name too many. If Free Zone takes to the soft ground, I think Free Zone could go fairly close, but I'll take a chance on Pearl Blue, but it's not really a race I'd be wanting to get stuck into too much. But play spot opportunity. Well done if you get through that one. We move on to the 220 at Chester, which is another sprint, but hopefully a little. Ballesteros is one that came out to form last time in the Shergar Cup, and it's being backed as well today, actually. Jack Garrity takes 5 off. Chris, your fancy for the first?
Mine's B52. Liked him last time out. Ran really well behind Blaine, coming third. And Dettori gave it a great ride, I think. Tried to make all. And also got a decent draw in 2 at Chester. And we all know that you've got to be drawing low at Chester, otherwise you basically stand no chance. And I think excusable at Ascot a few starts ago when it was when he couldn't really dominate from the front. There's a little bit of pace on, but I think that he can get to the front and just dominate. And then I think Ballesteros or Lexi's Hero will follow him home, to be honest with you.
Such an arse. Go ahead and steal my best bet of the day. As a 2-year-old, he has some fantastic form. Was rated in sort of 107 at his peak. Completely lost his way for a couple of seasons, though, and then came back at Newmarket last season, which is also the first day of Bet Racing Nation, if anyone cares. But this season's found this form much easier to come by, and last time out was a huge run, I thought. It was over on the far side, about 3 lengths ahead the whole time, and nothing from the front really stayed there. Everything was coming from behind, as with Blaine and Move in Time. However, B52 was the only one that actually stayed up in the van the whole way, and I think you could upgrade that performance quite a bit, and especially being drawn 2 at Chester. Dungannon is next to him in stall 1. He's not really one that likes to go forward, although I know Adam is going to give Dungannon a mention. So if B52 jumps out, the rail is there for taking, and 4-1 might be a bit short past B52's one. He'd be a really confident selection, actually. But Adam fancies Dungannon, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The thing is, for me, he's come back down. He's £3 lower than his last winning mark. Kieran Schumacher takes 7 off, and he is drawn well in 1. The only slight concern that Luke raised with me, and I kind of agree with him, is whether he handles a track or not. But if you look back through his form as well, he has raced 3 times previously in blinkers, and 2 of those were wins, and 1 was at Doncaster last year. And normally he wears a visor, so I think it's interesting that they're sticking the blinkers back on him tomorrow. And I think he could go well if he handles the track. But I do respect the B52 argument, so...
Yeah, you caught me mid-food then.
Which doesn't help with your laggy internet.
No, apologies, sorry. Callum Medell, your fancy for Chester?
Yeah, we haven't really... we touched on both the horses that I quite like, to be honest. B52's got a very obvious chance. Travelled into the race last time at York, 10 days ago, like an absolute good thing, and probably it was an extended 5 furlongs that day, and he just probably went off a little bit too fast in the end and was touched off in the end. But that was a cracking run. I put down in my tracker, when he gets a sharper 5 furlongs, then he's got to be one to back, and I think 9-2 is fair. I could probably leave it at 9-2 over an extended 5 with quite a bit of pace up front as well, so he's not going to get his own way up there. And the dry ground I think will suit. I don't think there's any rain forecast for Chester, and that would put me off horses like Ballesteros, who looks likely to come into form but probably needs a little bit softer ground ideally. Dungannon's been one on my radar for a while. I was a little bit disappointed how he ran at Nottingham last time out, where he was well backed at, before the off and just didn't really seem to finish his race off as well as I'd hoped. But he's been waiting for soft ground. He's been on good firm ground, and he wants it soft. So any rain would suit him. He gets a good draw. I'm just not sure if he's in the right form at the moment. The most likely win is B52 for me. I don't think I could oppose him, but 9-2 is a price that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think we're all agreeing that we're fairly sweet on B52. I think the ground might be a bit too fast for him last time as well. a little bit softer tomorrow at Chester. There's a little bit of a tiny amount of rain due overnight, which could just keep it a bit sort of soft, well, keep it more on the softer side. But we go up to Beverley now for our only visit of the day for the Beverley Bullet, and it's quite a strong race actually. Pearl Secret's in there, Kingsgate native, Line of Reason's one that Callum was sweet on last time. Mecca's Angel's already been mentioned in this video somehow. We got that in quite a few times, but it's not a bad Beverley Bullet this year, guys, and it'll take some finding the winner of this one, won't it, Adam?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for me, my fantasy's already been price-wise, and it's Line of Reason again. And the reason I've gone for him is because you can basically pick holes in most of his key rivals. Pearl Secret for me wants it softer, and I'm amazed that they're not waiting. But then again, I say that I'm amazed they're not waiting for next week. We've actually got a dry week forecast, so for the Sprint Cup, you won't get soft ground, and that was the race I was interested in for a long time. Mecca's Angel, she's effective on good to firm, but I think she wants it softer. When she gets soft ground, she's an absolute beast. So if there's any rain about, that'll be a big plus for her. Line of Reason, I thought he travelled really well again at York last time out. And I think he would have been closer had he been on the near side. And there was plenty of pace on here, and I can see him picking up the pieces.
Yeah, fair enough. But you've been on about Pearl Secret for the Sprint Cup for so long now, so I'm actually quite gutted for you that it hasn't worked out.
He'll probably win the Abbey now on soft ground, and I'll just be, oh.
Yeah, travel into it like an absolute dream. Sounds like Callum, you quite like Mecca's Angel, but maybe not for today.
Yeah, she's a horse that I really rate. It's just that she looks a far better horse when she gets cut in the ground, and looking at what the ground is described at the moment, I don't think she's going to get it, and I don't think there's much rain forecast. I think there's a little bit tonight, but I don't think there's going to be enough, and I don't think there'll be enough for Pearl Secret either, who Beverley's not really a conventional track, and Pearl Secret hasn't looked at home on tracks like that, and also is much better on softer ground. So without doubt, Pearl Secret's the one to beat, but I would definitely be opposing at 5-2 or either way, whatever price. If it's double that, I'd probably oppose him. Kingsgate native, I'm just not sure if he's got it in him to win a race like this now. I think Rocky Ground is probably the most solid one. I know he ran quite a poor race last time, but he won over course and distance last year at Beverley. He's a better horse now than when he was then. You can probably forget his last run on softer ground. He doesn't really go on softer ground, and fast ground is really what suits. He's got some pretty decent form in the book. 6 furlongs probably better, but there's plenty of pace on in the race, and I think they'll set it up for him. I know Line of Reason might be similar, and Will Be Me interested me actually. She's on the up, but probably has to find quite a lot of improvement, probably a stone to be in the mix. So Rocky Ground looks by far the most solid one for me, and I think 6-1 is worth a bet.
Yeah, it's difficult for me. You could go two ways. You could take the class horse that don't really have anything, well, many things in their favour for them tomorrow. Pearl Secret being a prime example of that. You could take the older horses and hope that they return to a bit of form, and hope that everything in their favour can actually come right for them in the likes of Mirza and Addictive Dream for me. But again, we say this so much in this video, but this screams no bet race for me. If Pearl Secret's at its best, then should win. Same goes for Kingsgate Native, same goes for Rocky Ground. I'd take a chance of Mirza actually, because Ray Guest sounded very, very upbeat earlier on in the week about his chances. People say, you could argue it's a soft ground horse. He hasn't really run on anything other than solid ground in his lifetime, really. Earlier in his career was on good to softish ground, goodish ground, so that's okay for me. I think good to firm as well has ran well before, so I don't really think he's a soft ground horse by any stretch of the imagination. Softer ground, okay, connections may think that he's better on that, but at 10-1, I'd give Mirza an each way chance. I honestly couldn't stress enough how much I wouldn't want to have a bet in this race. But yeah, Mirza for me, tentatively. Chris, have we come to you for this race yet?
No, not yet. But I'm glad you guys went first because.
Well, we'll go for you then.
I literally can't see anything winning the race. I mean, it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but I can literally pick holes in everything.
I fully agree.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, I mean, Pearl Secret's taking a step down in class from Group 1 to listed, but it just reminds me of when Lightning Thunder did that a few weeks ago at Haydock and just didn't produce anything. I backed Lightning Thunder that day and just didn't run to form whatsoever. Kingsgate native, don't think he's got it in him to win this at grand age of 8, I think now, 9.
Fine, yeah.
So I'd probably have to go for Rocky Ground, but it's really nothing, not a confident one at all. 6-1, I'm not have a betting face at all. I just think I'll watch it, and I'd like Pearl Secret to win, just because it was one of my fancies. Went second behind a hot streak a few starts ago, but I just don't think the firm ground will suit him. So it'll have to be Rocky Ground each way, but not going to have a bet at all.
No, I think you're a very wise man to keep your money in your pocket. I've forgotten the golden rule as well, and Adam would have been hating me for this.
I'll let you off.
If you'd like to get in touch with the show, thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind of you. If you'd like to get in touch with the show at all today, you can tweet us. You can tweet myself at LukeElder13, tweet Callum at Callum Medell. You can tweet Adam at AdamWebb121 or Chris at TW Enclosure. Is that the one you wanted them tweeting on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. But yeah, we'll read out every single tweet at the end of the show. Whether it's fancy for tomorrow, whether it's a question, or whether it's anything else horse racing related, we'll try and answer it to the best of our ability at the end of the show. Right, got that out of the way. Let's move on to the Solario. Group 3, very, very strong last season. Kingman obviously won it, and won it very nicely. There's Emirates Flyer in behind as well, who's since performed, but this year's renewal does not look anywhere. Elm Park, I think we're all agreed, almost definitely will not run after winning today. But that would have been my selection for the race. But Actabante is probably the classiest horse that's come into it, but just finds winning really hard to come by. Are you a fan of Actabante, Callum, actually?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the horse. He seems pretty straightforward. Looks like he wants more of a stamina test in time, and looks very much one that has to fill out his frame first. And second to Eshtikar, who is kind of a horse I think has gone a little bit under the radar, to be honest, the winner. It was a pretty good performance from Actabante to finish second to him, and he's been beaten 4.5 lengths, but there's some fairly solid yardsticks in behind. Tries cheap pieces today, and I would think the ground should be okay for him. I'm a little bit worried about the ground for Future Empire, who did really impress at Newmarket on his debut, and the form's been franked by the second and third, both winning impressively since. So he's the one has by far the most potential in the field, but I would be worried about the ground. And I think Pallister, who's been crying out for more of a step up in trip, or at least more of a stamina test, I think we'll find a stiff Sandown 7 furlongs absolutely ideal. I think the ground should be okay for him. He's finished third in a decent Haydock race on debut over 5 on soft, so I think he'll go okay on it. He should set the pace in this race, and I think he'll be very hard to catch. And there's not much between him and Pallister and Actabante on official racing. I think £7 between them, but I think there's less, to be honest, between them. And I think Pallister is just been crying out for this sort of test. So I think 8-1 is well worth a bet on him. I think it's a little bit overpriced considering it's not the best of races, and I just don't think we've seen the best of him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. With Future Empire, obviously was on his debut and very, very impressive when he won, but he needs to settle a lot better on his second time out for me, because if he does pull like he did at Newmarket, then I think he'll find it seriously hard to get home, especially at Sandown, with the uphill finish. I can't see the ground being too much of an issue, but as the terms of winning goes by, I probably just side Bante. I think it was soft enough ground last time, so it's experienced ground with a bit of cut in it. One of the most experienced in the field. You could go one of two ways with. Either he's finished second 3 times, maybe he doesn't want to win, he won an easy race at Newcastle, or you could go the way he's bumped into a few horses. Estidcar, very, very good horse. I think half brother to Tormore as well, and seems to be showing all the right signs in the race course this year. Dr. No's a nice enough horse as well that he lost to at Newmarket, and Elite Gardens is quite a nice horse as well that lost to at Newmarket. It was Nottingham that he lost to Dr. No, and I apologise for that. But I don't know, Actabante, I don't know if you could call him unlucky, but he keeps sort of bumping into one. Whether that be the same tomorrow, because I don't think it's a very good race at all. I was really sweet on Elm Park until Adam pointed out that he actually ran or was running today, which I thank him for because I backed him. But if you forced me to have a bet, I'd have Actabante, but honestly, I really couldn't touch this race at all, and I think it's a really disappointing turnout for what's usually a fairly good race. But hopefully, Adam, you've got a fancy in this race.
I actually agree with Callum actually on Pallister. Actabante will make the point that he's in first time headgear and that could sharpen him up.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's an interesting move. I can see why they've gone that way with him, but Pallister, I just think that Joe Fanning, he's especially good from the front. He's got a good clock in his head from the front, and I think he could easily just go out there and make all the running, and they will not catch him. And as Callum said, a stamina test like this at this stage in his career is absolutely ideal. I'm not sure whether Goodwood was his track, and I just think here, with the slip uphill finish, I think he'll suit him better. He'd be my idea of the winner.
Yeah, so we're all sort of going away from the favourites, really, aren't we? Chris, your fancy for the Solario tomorrow?
Well, I've actually got thought I had a really confident selection before the prices came out. And I've actually gone for the bottom one in Lexington Times at 80-1. It was a notebook horse after his debut second behind Zephyros, I think. And that turned out to be a really good maiden. Then he was won a really good maiden, which I think second, third, and fifth have won since.
That's the favourites you might have made. I think the next 8 have all won next time out. It's ridiculous. Like yeah, and he's the only one not to have. And even the 10th one twice since is an absolutely crazy maiden.
Yeah. And then the 2 starts ago, it was a really weird race. There was 3 runners in it, and Prince Gagarin won, but he was getting £5 from Zephyros and Lexington Times. So I've put a line through that one. I've put a line through the one after that as well. He was giving £5 to the winner and £2 to the second place, and looked to travel really well into the race, but wasn't really ridden as if he wanted to win the race, and wasn't given a hard time once he was beaten. So I was amazed when these prices came out. I've actually stuck £10 on him each way to begin with, and I think I'm going to have another bet tomorrow if he stays around 18-1, because I just thought he was a really good horse in the making, and I can forgive the last 2 runs. And if he runs anything like that maiden victory, I think that he's going to have a really good chance in this race.
Yeah, so I think that summarises the race that we're all sort of don't have a clue what to really go for. Pallister's got a shout, Actabante's got a shout, and Lexington Times has also got a decent shout. But I'd love to say we're moving on to a race that we might have more of a chance of finding the winner in, but I'd be completely lying if I said that. It's the Krabby's Alcoholic Ginger Beer Handicap over 7 furlongs, 122 yards. There's no secret that Heavy Metal is a horse that I very much like. Was luckless in running last week. I don't think it really made a difference. He just didn't really seem the same horse that showed up at Ascot and Goodwood before that. But it's a weird move to run him here. Especially drawn stall 10. I can't fancy him tomorrow at all. Whether it's sort of an afterthought of last week, I imagine they'd have had that in mind after Glorious Goodwood, but I don't know, I'm just a bit uneasy about his chances tomorrow. Of the rest, Jono's one that I like, but again, the draw completely kills his chance for me. Foxtrot Romeo, I know Adam liked, I think, last time out, and I think he's given up on Foxtrot Romeo completely, but honestly, I'm going to sound very boring today, but it's just another race that I really wouldn't want to get too involved with. Bo Nash down at the bottom, the Richard Hannon horse, drawn stall number 1, would surely be fancied tomorrow with, obviously, the draw. Didn't run his race last time out at all. But if you go back to sort of the Goodwood form, the Doncaster form before that, slowly progressing at Leicester behind Mix Your Man, who's won, I think, a listed race this year at Ascot, would have to be thrown in with a chance. So Bo Nash will probably be the one that I give a chance to, but I couldn't really get too excited about the rest. I'm slightly annoyed Heavy Metal's come here, actually, of the rest. But Adam, you're not sticking with Foxtrot Romeo, right?
Oh, God, no. Oh, he came into the race last time looking the likely winner, and he did what he normally does. I thought that was a winnable race, and it's definitely not for me. He's drawn well. That's a positive. He can make for Foxtrot Romeo, but he's not for me tomorrow. I hope Ocean Tempest runs off for Joe Doyle, who performed almost a minor miracle to stay on last week in the Melrose, and unluckily his feet touched the ground just before the line, so he didn't get to weigh out for 4th place, which is a crying shame. I agree with Luke on Jono. I'd have been sweet on him, but he's drawn out in the car park, so he's got absolutely no chance from 14. Luke has stolen my selection in Bow Nash. He's drawn well in one. Forget the Britannia. The form with Goodwill with Weegene is looking strong, and I quite like him. I would have liked Alejandro had he not been drawn in 9. If he'd have been drawn lower, I'd have been very keen on his chances because he won really well at York last time out. So yeah, it's Bow Nash for me, but I'm not getting involved in this race. Definitely not.
I think if you did get heavily invested in a race like this at Chester, you need your head testing very seriously. It's like, even with a horse that I really, really like in heavy metal, couldn't touch him at all. Correct. Have you got any confident selection in this race whatsoever?
I'm actually with Bow Nash as well. Mainly because of the draws. Like, I mean, I was keen on heavy metal and then saw that he was drawn in 10. I was keen on Alejandro as well, and he's drawn out in the car park, and same with John Oates. So it's like, and everything else, like, I wasn't really keen on. So the 3 that I was keen on have been drawn completely out of it, and then I had to completely redo my selection. And Burnash was the one that stood out, drawn well in 1. Probably didn't like the ground last time out. Good to soft here. I can see him running well, but like you guys say, I wouldn't want to get involved in this race at all. It's going to be one that I'm going to watch and enjoy probably, rather than have a bet in and try and win some money.
Yeah. I mean, fair play to Chester for putting the prize money on, but try and hold a big handicap there like this anyway. The draw just affects it so much. It is just hard to sort of gain any grasp on the race. Callum, I assume you're not going to have a massive fancy in this race?
No, I'm struggling, to be honest, in this race. The thing about Bow Nash I was just a little bit worried about is the fact that he's only won a maiden at 1 to 3, and he just seems a bit of a perennial placer / loser. But yeah, I mean, he'll appreciate the ground a lot more than he did last time. Ascot was too fast. Quite a few horses I don't think are very well handicapped. Apostle won well last time out, but I think that was his opportunity. Everything set up right for him, and I don't know if he's going to get it this time. Foxtrot Romeo, he's dogged it 3 out of 4 times now. He's come there to win, and he's not been interested, so I couldn't have him at all. Heavy metal, I know you have reservations about. I probably agree. Russian Realm, favourite. Again, favourite. I mean, 4 of the last 5 times he's been favourite. He was single figures the other day in a 19-runner handicap at York. He's been running okay, and softer ground might just suit him. I mean, his last 3 runs have been on faster ground, and he's not run not as good as form figures as it was beforehand. So I just couldn't really take him at 13 to 2. I just think he's a horse that needs everything to fall right and may not be one that can win off 95. But I think he's probably the most likely winner either way. Really horrid race. I'll put up Russian Realm, but certainly not going to have a bet.
He's price-wise, isn't he, Russian Realm?
Yeah, he's price-wise. I mean, yeah.
Says
I don't know what to say about that.
Doesn't it?
Don't know what to say about that. It's a really good race.
We didn't even pick price-wise horses. We've all gone for the same ones. It's sort of like that tomorrow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not a great day of racing, if I'm honest, for Saturday. But we have Phil Dinsdale tweeting in, and he's sort of getting into the vibe of the show now with the sort of whole Bully Adam kind of effect that we go for here on the other. That's my mind made up. I'm backing Foxtrot Romeo if Adam's not backing him.
I've only backed it. Can I make a point? I've only backed him once, and it was last time out, so it's not going to work.
That's
there have
probably
been
why I
horses.
lost.
But I've got so many cliff horses that I don't back the next time, and they go and win. And it's just, or you put one up, you get them beaten in a handicap, and they go in the listed race. It's just like, so annoying.
We move now back to Sandown for the Atalanta Stakes, which is a fillies Group 3 over a mile and 14 yards, which, again, I'm a little bit disappointed about the turnout of this. You look at the past winners and you see Ladies First and Integral dead heated last year. Integral's obviously gone on to be a big name in the fillies ranks. Strawberry Daiquiri's won this in the past. Dank's won this in the past. So real Group 1, Group 2 performers have won this race, and it just, the only sort of one, other than Fintry, obviously, that I could take out of this is Waterhole, but it's not the greatest of races. But do you have a confident selection, Callum?
I couldn't really oppose the favourite, to be perfectly honest. Looked pretty bomb-proof to me. her form in France is streets ahead of anything else in this field at this stage. Beating La Hogue, however you say it. I know Michael probably stamped his authority on how to say that name, but I mean that horse has finished third, beating a length in the Prix Jean Prat after behind Charm Spirit. That's close bordering Group 1 horses. So Fintry just looks pretty bomb-proof. I know she has a penalty, but I just think she's a class above, and this seems an ideal stepping stone for something later on in the autumn. Goes well on any ground, one on soft ground, one on good ground, and is versatile tactical-wise, being setting up with the pace or coming from behind. I do like Waterhole. I think she's an up-and-coming filly, and John Gosling wouldn't put her in this if she didn't think she had a chance. And she's one that I have on my radar. I just think, she's got on figures to find £22. I couldn't back her at 5-1 on that, and I can't back Fintry at 13-8 either. But I think it's between the two. Fintry wins, and Waterhole is one to keep an eye on, but may not be good enough at this stage to beat a pretty good horse in Fintry.
I actually quite fancy Waterhole tomorrow, but I put it on my blog earlier on, but I wrote that before I saw prices for this race. 4-1 is a little bit slim for me, if I'm perfectly honest.
5-1's available.
Sort of the same. 5's available. Okay, well I'm looking at Sky
I've
prices,
got
so that's probably why.
Okay.
But Waterhole does seem like she does have a very similar profile to Integral that sort of semi-won this last year, dead heating. It comes as a race, ran 4 times, won 3, lost on debut, but they've found the key now that she has to be prominent. Last time she made all, which I think could be a telling factor in this, because looking through the rest of them, Fintry can make the paces Callum alluded to earlier on, but none of the rest really want to go out and force it themselves. So if Waterhole gets given a soft lead out in front, then William Buick could just manage to dictate the whole race and have them marching to his tune on Waterhole. Callum made the sort of rating. I think she's a much better horse than 92, if I'm honest. I'd be very surprised if she couldn't improve past that mark. It's just the only reason you sort of give her a big chance is of the rest. Zariga, Zibolina, I couldn't have as being good enough. Diamond Dove, I know, is one that Michael gave us a line on earlier on and wanted further, wasn't it? He said something like that.
Yeah. I'll talk a bit about her because I obviously know about the journey.
Yeah. So, with Waterhole, I'd give her a massive chance. She has to step up, obviously, but Fintry would be the main danger. It's just if Waterhole can get given a soft lead. I really liked her attitude last time out. Softer ground is absolutely no worry for her whatsoever. She may need a little bit more time, but I'd give Waterhole a big chance tomorrow. Adam, what did Michael say about Diamond Dove now? Because I was not listening.
Basically said that she wants 1.25 miles, and I agree with him. Although, to be fair to her, she does have German classic form. She was third to Ayexana in the German 1,000 guineas, and she was second to Theodora in the German Oaks last time out. I'm surprised they're coming this far back in trip. There is an article on the website which I will post a link to, which you can all go read, written by the wonderful Ryan Ferris, who makes his Racing UK debut tomorrow. So if you're watching Racing UK and you see somebody talking about German racing, it's him. And I nearly said a nasty thing about him, which would have been very nice. Personally, I think she... I know you would. Personally, I think she wants further. The ground I thought would have been in her favour, but with it drying out, I'm not so sure. If it's a rain forecast for Sandown, do we know? Because if there's rain forecast, then I could see her running well. If there's not, then
I don't believe so. I'm about sort of not far from the course at all, and it's been quite nice here all day. Like a little bit of drizzle, but nothing else.
It was originally soft, and then it dried out, didn't it? It's good soft. So yeah, I think she wants soft the ground personally. Something like the Opera later in the year wouldn't be a bad target for her. I think Fintry is the one to beat, even with the penalty. I mean, she beat La Hoguette last time out, that's how I'm going to say it. Michael can correct me there. I just think she's pretty bomb-proof, although I respect what you guys said about Waterhole as well. She, to me, is an improver, and like one that was entered in the race that wants top of the ground in Bragging, who I would have been all over if the ground had been good to firm. That's why she's not here, I don't think. But she looks a nice horse. She kind of reminds me of Integra in the way that she's going to improve, and I can't wait to see her next year. But yeah, Fintry would be a short price, I know, but would be the one in this race.
Yeah. Chris, are you with Fintry as well?
No, I'm with Waterhall. I think 5-1. I think if you can get 5-1 and back her each way, then I can see her improving. Don't know how much improvement she's got. I think she'll definitely place. Whether Fintry's going to be, whether Waterhall's going to be as good as Fintry is another question. I probably can see Fintry winning, but I think that Waterhall can improve to beat Fintry, and just for that reason, that's why I've gone for Waterhall. And I think that if you back her each way, then you're at least going to get your money back. She'll definitely place. And I think it's between them two, really. So, yeah, I'd go for Waterhall each way at sort of 5-1. I mean, I know it sounds a bit stupid pointing a 5-1 shot each way, but that would be my bet.
It's not the worst idea you've ever had, Chris Bradburn. Not the worst idea you've ever had. We move back to Chester now, and this shock. It might be a shock to everyone, but I actually have a strong fancy in this race. And like the gentleman that I am, though, I am going to give it to Adam Webb so he can talk about it first time.
Thank you very much, because I know we both agree on this race. So unfortunately, this is the horse I'm going to knack as well. It's Noble Silk, who missed out on getting in the Ebor last week, and I thought he would have had a big chance in the Ebor. He was, I want to say, unlucky at Goodwood, but I also don't think he was given the best ride. And he was when he was fed to Van Persie and Havana Cool, and obviously Van Persie came out and ran an absolute screamer in the Ebor last week to come second. I just think, though, there's doubts about most of his rivals in the race. I mean, Whiplash Willie, if the ground keeps drying up, he will be a non-runner. Gabriel, why he's here, I don't know. He didn't stay for me in the last week. So why they're giving him another go over this trip, I don't know. But then, again, Dr. Kukash does like having runners at Chester, so I can see why he might be turning out. Derek, if it keeps drying out, I'd be worried, because I read comments earlier that he didn't like the ground last week at York, and he just wouldn't let himself down on it, and he needs a softer surface. And the others, for me, a special meaning I can make a case for, but the rest of them don't seem good enough. And everything just points towards Noble Silk, and finally he can have a second win. I mean, he's been running well all season, fourth in the Northumberland Plate, and he won at Haydock as well, and he got me through the plate. He got me through the plate spot that day, so I was pleased about that. So yeah, Noble Silk is the one for me here.
With Gabriel, we all say, why is he over this distance? I look back and he beat one horse home in the Ebor.
Oh, that's
And I looked at which one it was, and it was one that me and Callum actually gave quite a good mention to in Great Hall for Sean Quinn.
Yeah.
Okay. That made me chuckle a bit earlier on, but I completely agree with everything Adam's. Pardon me, sorry, choking on Chris. Everything Adam said about Noble Silk. I do think he was unlucky last time. Van Persie, it was a good bit of race riding by Oisin Murphy on Van Persie, really, but Noble Silk got trapped in a pocket, denied a run at a crucial time, just over a furlong out, and once going, again, it was too late. The race had already gone, but he did stay on and really taking style. Now, the draw in staying races at Chester isn't usually that much of a worry, but drawn 6, if he doesn't get to the rail earlier on, then you can end up covering a hell of a lot more ground than your rivals, because you just go round so many times. So it can be a little bit quite a bit old Noble Silk tomorrow, because we know he stays further, and definitely stays further than a few in this field. Whiplash Willie would have his doubts, Derek Gurr's got his doubts, Gabriel's got so many doubts over this trip, it's unbelievable. The others I couldn't really get too excited about, so Noble Silk I'm quite a big fan of tomorrow, but I'm a bit put off that Adam's going to put Noble Silk up as his nap.
Well, I'm going to do putting me off too, so...
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. Hello?
We've lost the host.
Hello?
Am I here or not?
Well, the last sentence didn't come out, but I think you said Chris. We can hear you now, but you said Chris.
All right.
Yeah, Chris. Chris, talk about.
I've gone for De Rigueur, running well in handicaps on the previous 2 starts. Didn't really like him last time out, and I think that if he performs how he did 2 starts or 3 starts ago, then he can run well. I my main doubt for Noble Silk is the draw. I can see the angle on him, but I just think that he's played so many times and he just maybe doesn't want to quite want to win a race. Whiplash Willie, I think, is giving too much away. Like, God, I'll get rid of that in a minute. And I just think Diriger's a good thing in this race. Noble Silk will probably follow him home. But yeah, Diriger for me.
It's fine, Chris. We understand that you can't speak English because you're from the north. You speak a different language up there. It's fine. Callum, you're quite a fan of De Rigueur, aren't you? After tipping him to win the Old Newton Cup.
Yeah, I owe that horse a lot. He's a big favourite of mine. 2 questions about Noble Silk to you guys, because you seem quite keen on him. Firstly, the trip. I thought it was quite short a trip for him. I know he's won over 12 furlongs before, but his improvements have come at 2 miles, and I don't think there's much pace on. And at a tight track like Chester, I didn't think he had enough speed for it. And also, I don't know what the ground's going to be like tomorrow, but I can see it being on the soft side of good, and he almost solely is kept on good to firm ground. I know he probably goes okay on good to soft ground, but I don't think it's ideal. And I just think De Rigueur is far more solid, far more progressive. And I really like him tomorrow. You can easily excuse his e-ball run. The ground was a lot faster than it was going to be close to being at tomorrow at Chester. And he does like good, softer ground suits, but he's won on good to firm before. He won in June a good handicap at Haydock over 2 miles on good to firm ground officially. Well, considering it's Kirkland Tellwright, it's probably like good to soft. But De Rigueur for me tomorrow looks an absolute standout bet. The danger for me was special meaning if she got an easy lead out up in front, but which she didn't get last week at Newmarket. But she's on the go for a long while, and she just doesn't look like she's got much of an improvement on her mark. And remember, it is a handicap, even though it is a listed race. So De Rigueur 4-1 looks a cracking bet to me tomorrow. I think he should be clear favourite.
Can I answer the ground question on Noble Silk? Although it says that he won on good
Damn
ground.
it, that's mine.
Sorry, when he answered that good ground, it was definitely not good because it rained and rained and rained that day. It was definitely not good ground to start the day. Even though it will say it, I think it was good to soft. So that's one of the reasons as well. I can see your point.
That's fair enough.
As you say,
but the trip was my main worry.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I completely get the trip, which is why I said I want more running, to make a lot of him. I also mentioned that it was good race riding by Oisin Murphy on Van Persie, but he was actually on Noble Silk. David Probert rode Van Persie.
Good one.
Maybe he jumped off after. I don't know. But no, yeah, the trip would be my worry with Van Persie. I just want Paul Mulrennan to really ride him forward with Noble Silk. But the ground doesn't worry me at all, especially after that Haydock run where they were practically swimming, I think. So soft ground isn't really a worry for me, and he won very nicely that day. The last race we're going to be covering for tomorrow's action is the 350 at Sandown, a handicap over 1 mile, 2 furlongs, and the all-important 7 yards. Adam, you're a fan of the top weight, obviously without Mike Ennis's claim. Clon Brûlée for Godolphin.
Yeah, he won last time out at Newmarket on soft ground. It's the first time he's encountered ground as soft as that, and I thought it was really impressive that day. And with the claim, he's basically running off a £1 higher mark. So I was quite sweet on him when I saw the entries. The other one that I quite like in the race is What About Carlo, who won a mile handicap on this ground at Sandown. And I just think stepping him back up in trip will help him. I mean, he won at Epsom a couple of starts ago. He disappointed last time out, but I'm willing to put a line through that. And they would be the 2 for me in this race. So main selection would be Clon Brûlée, though. What About Carlos from well at a bigger price?
Yeah, I completely see your angle on What About Carlo. I was actually really disappointed last week when he didn't really run his race. That wasn't a strong event either for me. I don't know if I'd be willing to give him another chance, but he has won it before on softer ground. Callum, your fancy for the last of the day?
Well, the front 2 in the market I actually backed last time when they both won. Clon Brûlée, yeah, he was really impressive on that ground. It was a little bit of a worry for me, but I thought he was really well handicapped still. And with Mikey Ennis taking off 7 and a good £7, then he's got to go in with a chance. But I just think Forgotten Hero is a horse that's really turned the corner. He's taken a while to really come to hand. He's 5 years old. I mean, as a 3-year-old, he is seen as a potential Guineas horse, and he didn't really go on, and it's taken a long while to really get his act together. But last year he won a good Doncaster handicap, disappointed in the November handicap, but came back on a really eye-catching race in the Old Newton Cup, and probably wasn't the strongest race he won at Ascot, but he won it in such good style, and is only up £3, which made me, well, that the difference, the fact is that Combrele's gone up 8 and Forgotten Hero's gone up 3, and I think they've got, both have similar amount to give, but Forgotten Hero's the better handicap horse tomorrow. Loves soft ground. Soft ground is ideal for him, and stays 12 furlongs. So a stiff 1 mile 2, I think, will be right up his street. I'm really sweet on Forgotten Hero tomorrow in this race. There's one I'm also going to put up at a decent price. I'm just going to give one more chance to a horse called Running Deer. He's a horse that's been on my radar for a while. Won at Chester 3 starts back. The race probably hasn't worked out as well as I'd hoped. But beaten twice since. Last time over 9 at Goodwood, but both times on good to firm ground, which I don't think he really handles that well. Louis Stewart's been on it, I think, the last 9 times, but Kieran Fallon's on tomorrow, and I think that might suit, and ideally the conditions are what he wants. So 16 to 1, I think, is well worth an each way saver. But Forgotten Hero is my main fancy of the race.
Yeah, for me, I'm going right down to the bottom of the field for the Robert Mills horse, called Rydan, who is a bit hard to win with. Yeah, I have to admit that. I don't think ground would be too much of a worry. He's ran well on soft ground before, beaten 5 1/4 lengths by Cannock Chase and a length and 3/4 by Honour Bound. He's a tough horse to sort of sum up, really. Won 3 starts ago at Sandown over course and distance, then disappointed behind Presburg, who has been in cracking form this season. You can't take anything away from him. But then last time out, finished 3 lengths behind Tall Ship, who's now rated 95 and is rapidly improving for Gary Moores. And I just want to give a line to the jockey riding him as well, because he's also from Gary Moores, called Hector Crouch, and he's really sort of come on the scene this year. He's really impressed as well for a £7 claimer. Who's been riding winners left, right, and centre lately, and he doesn't get many rides, but the rides that he does, he really takes sort of advantage of them, and has really been showing up like a very, very smart jockey this season. But with that £7 claim, he also has the 3-year-old allowance, so is effectively running. Oh God, maths has gone awfully. £12 lower than his official mark. Is that right?
I think it is.
I think that's right.
You've got
maths is not. Maths is not my strong point. I have to apologise for that. But I'd give it a good chance to Rydan tomorrow. If he doesn't show up well tomorrow, then I think it's time to sort of give up with him. But I'd be quite confident with a good performance from Rydan. And the last talk of the day will come courtesy of Chris Bradburn.
I've gone for Passato. I'm going to go with Passato. Was only beaten a short head a few weeks ago. A few starts ago even. And it's been going down in the weights quite a lot, running big handicaps and not really doing very well. It's not a form pick at all. It's just that he's now on a winnable mark after dropping down quite a lot in the weights. And at 22 to 1, surely an each way bet. And I can see him running a big race. He's on a winnable mark, like I said. Nothing else really caught my eye apart from him. And yeah, not really a race that I'd want to have a strong sort of win selection in. If you can find a bookmaker that's paying like an extra place or something like that, definitely go for an each way bet. But to be honest with you, I think this race sort of sums up tomorrow's racing, of pretty average really. But yeah, Bassato would be my bet in that one.
The point I'd like to make quickly is the fact that us three we always say now with Mark Johnson handicapper, when you think they're badly handicapped or you think they're out of form, don't ever underestimate them. I can see the point completely with Bassato. It would not surprise me if he won tomorrow, but I like the two I've got in the race already, but I would not be surprised if he ran a big race.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So that sums up everything today, I think.
Yep.
Twitter's been quite. Have you got any questions from earlier on, Adam? Or
I've got a couple. They're mainly from Private Sean, who I don't think's private anymore. He might be. Let me just get him up.
no, he is still private.
He's still private. First question is, have you ever seen a dove made of diamonds? The answer to that is no. And secondly, what will Empolli's winning distance be in the Grand Prix de Deauville on Sunday? I'd say -3 lengths behind Gatewood.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Refuses to start. I'd go with that.
He should be winning that, shouldn't he?
Yeah. Empolli, I remember we had him on for the Oaks video, and he mentioned it for the Coronation Cup, and I kind of got dragged into that, and I thought, oh, he could run a big race, and he just didn't. Yeah, he did nothing. Sorry, but in both questions, the answer's no. But although he did get 14-1 Diamond Dove earlier, and she's now as short as 6s, so to be fair, if she does go and run and finish in the frame, then fair play, but I think she'll get outpaced and be plugging on rather than be. Yeah.
Yeah. And is that all on Twitter front?
Yeah, that's all the questions we've had. But I think before we go, we need to mention them hashtags from earlier, because Callum, what on earth have you been doing, my friend?
Yeah, no, I'm in a bit of trouble apparently. I'm going to lose a record deal or something.
Hey, you need to stop sending them nudes around, mate.
God damn it. Bloody Instagram, mate.
We still love you, though. We still love you. No matter what.
Yeah, we still love you, big dog.
I'm proud. Speaking of trends, I actually know someone that works in the co-op in my village that's actually trended his name on Twitter. So I'm counting it that I've done it today. So.
Well, you tried to get last week trending that horrible line I came out with accidentally, and you tried to get that trending, but it didn't work. I'm glad it didn't take off.
Close.
Nearly. I think about 5 or 6 people tweeted it. Thanks to those that did, you horrible people. But
I think me and Michael have trended before at the same time. It's like there's a trend going on Michael and Luke. So Adam, you're letting the team down at the moment. Mate.
I think I've trended somewhere along the lines. I wouldn't be surprised. You see the name Adam come up in most places. So I probably trended
Adam,
somewhere.
Liverpool.
Fair play if you can get that trending.
We haven't. we haven't got a Naughty Like 15 today, which is a terrible shame. But we do have some naps, and we'll start off with Callum Adele with your nap, sir.
Are you going to nap Noble Silk?
I am.
No.
Oh, good. I'm napping Derek Kerr.
Yeah, we're going to get
You just want to nap against Adam, don't you?
well, last week Michael napped against me, and it worked in my favour, so I'm not complaining.
Yes, Chris, your nap, please.
My nap isn't one that he talks about, but it's Elysian Flyer in a 6:15 at Bath. Really impressed me on debut beating Fingal's Cave, who's got good form anyway. And again, this sort of my nap really sums up today's racing. I would have gone for something else, but this is probably my best bet of the day. And one I'll be getting stuck into. There's no prices out yet for him. But yeah, and I think they can follow up his really easy maiden win in this handicap. So yeah, that's definitely one I'll be backing.
Yeah. Adam, you've already given your nap away with Noble Silk, haven't you?
Noble Silk, yeah. But if Michael was doing a North Lucky 50, I can guarantee that Cock of the North would have gone straight into that. But apart from that, I haven't looked for any others.
Yeah. One of the best horses ever been there. With my nap, Becky, what's your nap? Pearl Secret Becca's going for after we completely discarded him.
Only because he's the best horse I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
To be fair,
She's too tired. I'm siding with B52 in the first race at Chester, so we'll get our disappointments out of the way very early on in the afternoon. So for me, B52 and 220 at Chester at 4-1, I think is a decent bet. That's all we've got time for today, guys. It's a shorter show than it was last week, I think.
I don't know how on earth we got off topic last week. I really don't. You started ranting about something, and then yeah.
Yeah, I think we got to Callum last week. Well, that is it for this week. We hope you enjoyed our show. We'll be back next week on Friday. Put that in your notebooks. But other than that, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to mention.
No.
No, good. From everyone here on the other, we will see you next week, hopefully, for wherever the racing is. I have no
Spring Cup.
idea. Goodbye.